Lots of different demographics tuned in to watch the vice presidential debate last night, and college students were among them. We're going to get their reaction to the debate, but first, I have to admit that Tim Walz got off to a rough start. There's no two ways about it. He looked like a deer in the headlights, deflecting on the very first question, and in the process, sold his signature personality trait, answering questions head on right down the river. Take a look.
Governor Walz, if you were the final voice in the Situation Room, would you support or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel on Iran? You have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you. And thank you for those joining at home tonight. Let's keep in mind where this started. October 7th, Hamas terrorists massacred over 1,400 Israelis and took prisoners. Israel's ability to be able to defend itself is absolutely fundamental. Getting its hostages back, fundamental, and ending the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. But
it was a rough start, and it took him a while to warm up and get going. He missed several opportunities to deliver knockout blows, but just like Biden before him, Walz looked over-prepped and overstuffed with sound bites. JD Vance, on the other hand, looked smooth as silk, as any good snake oil salesman would, and the silver-tongued devil slipped his lies in here, there, and everywhere.
Here, there, and everywhere.
In fact, Vance's breezy intellectual style tipped the hand of the Republican Party. It's easy to see that the real plan is to get Trump back into office, have him do a little damage, and then serve him with Article 25 so that a more competent quarterback can run the Project 2025 playbook. Yeah, that's something to look forward to. But all did not go well with the Vance team's strategy. It's true that Walz missed important places to slam Vance, especially over manufacturing jobs. Trump lost large numbers of manufacturing jobs pre-COVID, whereas Biden has increased manufacturing jobs by passing legislation. Vance was very vulnerable there, and Walz failed to deliver a knockout blow when it came around. But the overall strategy of blaming every single issue on Kamala Harris and the border slowly backfired because of the repetition. Early on, Vance landed punches with it, and Walz did not particularly counterpunch well, though he certainly had his moments, especially when he reminded the audience that the Christian mandate is to welcome the refugee. So Vance's team thought they had the perfect strategy: box up Walz by constantly blaming Harris for the border and then taking apart every Harris proposal by saying, "Why didn't you do it before if it was so important?" They knew the minute that Walz tried to say she was only the vice president that he would take her credibility and experience away, and Walz was smart enough not to fall for that trap. Thing is, it sounds like a brilliant strategy, it looks good on paper, but does it really pass the sniff test? Not so much. At least one college student at Oakland University in the battleground state of Michigan, home to the surging Detroit Tigers and the dominant Detroit Lions, who are almost as good as the Green Bay Packers. Well, this college student was not buying the strategy one bit. Take a look at what he had to say.
We were talking, Marcus, about this constant criticism about the vice president not being able, about the vice president being in office for these last, he's already upset about it. The vice president being in office for all these years and not being able to make the change was the allegation from JD Vance. You said to me, I've been to high school civics class. Why did you say that?
Because if anybody took high school civics class, they'd know what the vice president can do and what the vice president can do. I want to make a quick point. Neither candidate on that stage talked about what executive action they're going to take on day one to do what they want, nor were they asked, because they know that they can't. That's not how the vice presidency works. You don't get to do what you want. You do what the president delegates you to do. So that
one day, Marcus is going to be all of our teachers in civics class, guys.
Boom! JD, Y'all just got stomped by a college kid, not afraid to point out the facts. But this student did more than just point out the facts. He revealed the meta discourse of the strategy. It depends on you not knowing that VPs are practically powerless. The only constitutional power they have is to cast tie-breaking votes in the Senate or succeed a president. This college student is pointing out that for an hour and a half, JD Vance stood around saying to his audience, "I think you're stupid." And stupid is as stupid does. We all know the gun lobby is disproportionately powerful in this country, and that it successfully prevents passage of reasonable gun controls that overwhelming majorities want. Vance decided to dance to their tune last night, and he ended up looking like a puppet for the gun lobby. Here's what another Oakland University student had to say about it.
Debate. And one of the strongest reactions here I thought was interesting was, Rachel, what you were just talking about when JD Vance said one of the ways ultimately that we can stop gun violence in this country is by having better locks on our doors. Did anybody react? You're laughing back here. No, you. What's your name?
Nora.
What'd you think when you heard JD Vance talk about that? Jimena was talking about how because of what happened at one of your neighboring schools here, it's an issue that rings close to home.
I thought it was ridiculous. I mean, the issue is guns. The issue is not better locks on doors.
Yep. That pretty much sums up Republican positions on gun control. There's nothing more to be said. They oppose a ban on assault weapons, on universal background checks, on red flag laws, on preventing minors from purchasing guns, all in the name of misinterpreting the Constitution. Does anything other than ridiculous need to be said? And this is a matter of demographics. Republicans are depending on uninformed voters to turn out in large numbers for them. Mobilizing the youth vote, like the Biden campaign did in 2020, is paramount for Harris to succeed. JD Vance and Donald Trump seem to be doing a really good job of motivating college students to vote by calling them stupid. Works for me. I'm Anthony Vincent Gallo for Occupy Democrats.